Today I would like to share my incredible healing experience at one of Dr. Joe's Dispenza's retreats in Marco Island. This year the shifting moment came. I was in a much better state physically again, but I could still feel that the energy I was living in was still the old energy. I was still this old self, and a lot of fear was creeping in that the cancer would one day come back, because I'm still in this energy field that I feel has created the cancer. Interestingly, I got the biopsy result on the day we had to register for the Marco Island retreat. And it came back not clear. So I immediately decided, that's it. I'm going all in with Joe. I'm not going to do any other treatments. So I booked the event, and from the moment I made that decision that I'm going, I already felt a real shift in my energy. I could just feel I had made a decision that I was going to heal this disease with my own energy, with my own powers. And from that moment on, I decided to do Dr. Joe's meditations once a day. In my imagination, I was envisioning how every cancer cell in my stomach was literally dying off. And that is what I kept envisioning in every meditation. So in the middle of August, I received another biopsy. I had to wait for the results. And it came back all clear. So the doctors thought it might be the after effect of the radiation. That's what they might be thinking. But I knew for myself that it was my own contribution. So the advanced week-long retreat was in September, and I came with a clear intention to heal myself. Inside the ballroom, being with 1,500 people, I first felt was a bit overwhelming, but the moment it started and as the week progressed, the energy was so exciting, so innocent, so everyone was willing to do the work, to do the meditations. It was just really exciting to see the commitment people brought. The third day is the moment when everything for me shifted. And it was interesting because I was laying on the floor and thinking, well, this meditation was nice, but it was nice, but it didn't really work for me in that powerful way as I would hope. And I was laying there, suddenly I began to feel like an electric shock wave, like just suddenly something pulling me out, up the chest in the air, and just like, and with a real intense sound, like so, ugh! And it got louder and louder, and my chest was just pulsing through me, and it felt like electric shock waves moving through the whole body, and I was really scared. I didn't know what was happening to me, and also being aware that there were people around me. So, and then it started to increase, and then suddenly I felt this sort of wave of energy just really rushing through me, through the whole body, through my hands, and I could literally feel how the energy was just, flowing through the hands and out of the hands and through my feet, and it was really unbelievable what was happening. And some part of me, I think, started to panic and really get afraid. And another part of me started to cry out loud, and I was shaking, and I don't know what was happening. And in this state of fear, I knew that someone was standing above me on the chair behind me, and I had my eyes covered, so I didn't see anything, but I knew someone was there. So I reached up with my hand, and indeed one of the volunteers was there. And she came down and just held me and hugged me, and it was just so needed. It was just so appropriate. And I just needed that as all this was happening. And then the break began, and I was still in the middle of something big here. I knew something profound was happening. Someone else at some point came to me who was an angel, and she was just the most profound person during this whole retreat. She Her name is Agnes, and she guided me moment by moment through what I was experiencing. And we realized that there was so much fear and shame in me by this point because my inner child had wakened up. And the inner child was totally frightened by what is happening and totally ashamed to look at anyone. So I really struggled to go outside and face anyone because I was still in the middle of a process. And this process did not stop. It just didn't want to stop. It didn't want to be stopped. It just kept moving. The energy just kept moving through my body. And Agnes just really helped me to relax into it. And this word, relax into it, Joe keeps saying it as well, relax into it, allow it. And before it was just words, and then suddenly I was really receiving it. And once I relaxed into it, once I let go of all that tension in my body, once I just tuned in, it was incredible. I could just feel all this energy flowing through me and yet still being awake and my eyes open, even though my vision was all blur. I hadn't mentioned that too. And I could hardly walk as well. So something really, I knew a profound healing was happening. And I didn't even have my coherence healing yet. So it was already, something so big was happening already. So being with Agnes the whole afternoon, we got myself prepared for the evening because that was when the coherence healing was happening. And again, I was laying there, the people came standing around me, and my chest was already, my whole body was already, just some electric pulse was just, going through my whole body. And I was not doing it, I couldn't control it, and it just happened, it just happened. And when the people put their hands over me, I could feel this incredible, it was like rose leaves, just falling on me, just energy falling on me. It was just really intense and profound. And I was making a lot of noises. I just couldn't hold myself. I couldn't. But also the whole room was becoming really loud and wild. And for me that was so, at the same time as I was going through it, and to also hear the whole room waking up, people going through all sorts of stuff. I had never experienced any of that before. For me, it was like, where am I? Where am I? And what is happening here? What is happening here? What is happening to me and what is happening to others? And I could hear people crying, and everyone was just really moved, and the music was just so sacred, and the sacredness of that whole atmosphere really touched me so deeply. And I knew that what we were doing in this room was really, what Joe is doing is really the next evolution in mankind. It is beyond, it's not just doing a meditation. We are really tuning into the quantum field. We are tuning in to that place that is beyond our analytical mind, to who we really are, the source, the vortex, whatever you want to call it. And to tune into that, to be in that field, is real. And I didn't know. So the really big moment for me that followed, and it has already been so big for me, was during the follow-up retreat. One of the incredible teachings I have learned at Dr. Joe's retreat has been about the breath and the pineal gland. So I had never heard of the pineal gland and didn't know that it was such a significant little piece of organ in the center of our brain. In spiritual teachings, they also say that it is the gateway to a higher realm of consciousness, also considered as the third eye, as some teachings say. That was all new to me. And basically we learned during the retreat that with a very specific breathing technique, starting at the very bottom, at the base, breathing in all the way up, holding our body really tight, all the muscles tight, bringing up the air, up to the brain. And when you touch that pineal gland, you are activating those crystals inside that pineal gland. and they will produce an effect like a brain orgasm. So when the second retreat started, on that night, I went home and decided to go all in with the breath and to be absolutely crazy with it and to not stop until it's going to happen. So I put on the body electric meditation and I lay down because I noticed when I was laying down, I was able to experience that effect more easily. So I did the breath every 2-3 minutes for probably an hour long. I don't know if that's recommended. That's not what we did in the retreat, but in my home, this is what I decided to do. And basically, I suddenly could feel how I managed to bring up the breath, and like a balloon that is about to explode, you can feel the pressure building up. You can feel it's getting really tight. I could feel that pressure building up as it was going up into my brain, touching the pineal gland, and then suddenly I could just feel that explosion. And truly, it was an incredible moment for me because I went beyond and beyond. I went into a complete energetic experience of my body, of not even my body, of experiencing myself as a being of energy. Everything just, I could just feel everything becoming energy. I could feel the whole body just becoming one field of energy. And I left time and space, this normal reality that we're in here, and went into complete beyond experience. It was so mind-blowing that I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. And interestingly, I had done the previous year ayahuasca because I was searching for deeper answers also for my cancer, why that was here, and so that's why I did the ayahuasca. And interestingly, the ayahuasca took me to the same place, to that same experience. And there I was, able to experience this without taking any substance. And that for me was absolutely shocking and mind-blowing because, how's that possible? And how can I be living in this body for 37 years not knowing that I have a pineal gland that I can activate with my breath and that it can take me into a higher realm of consciousness that is, just beyond all normal perception of life. So this was for me the breakthrough, the big moment, because I was able to achieve this with my own power, and it happened in my own home. So at the end of the retreat, I felt changed. I felt changed in my energy, changed in my being. I felt like I was reborn into a new body. It just felt like that. Dr. Joe kept mentioning that's what we experience at some point, and it was more like a concept, but then suddenly I could feel it with my own body. The experience of that was for me life-changing, truly life-changing. And even now when I'm back in my home, in my daily reality, I am aware of that old programming, that old self that is still trying to operate through me, but I'm conscious of it now, and I choose not to participate in it. I choose not to participate in any kind of programming that is negative, that is only going to produce negative emotions or fearful emotions about the future or whatever. I don't participate in it anymore, and this is the power I'm feeling now. I feel empowered to change thought patterns that are no longer serving me. So I just want to leave you with this information, with this experience. And I truly believe that what Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing at his retreats is really the next evolution of mankind. The coherence healings are an incredible experience. I mean, to be in a room, to have a 6-year-old boy in front of me, which was at one of the last ones where I was suddenly a healer, to have this little boy in front of me and to be giving healing to this boy, to know that I have the power to give healing to another being, is for me, a life-changing experience. And people are truly healing themselves in this space. It's not just something, you hear on certain videos. It really is happening. When you enter this event, when you enter this retreat, you cannot not be impacted. You will feel a shift in your energy. You will feel such a uplifting energy lifting you up and out of your usual sense of self. And you leave changed. You just do. And even if you are resistant to it or close to it, I think to some extent it will affect you. And the more open you are, the more vulnerable you are ready to be, the more you're ready to drop all your ego and all your protections. And that's what I did. Then I was able to go all in. I was able to dive in so deeply. And I'm so grateful. Very, very grateful for this experience. Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Joe Dispenza.